You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, we are blessed by your listen. Today is November 30th, 2024. It's a Saturday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana football. Today, I'm going to do a recap of Friday's 3 state championship football games and preview Saturday's 3 games. We will also have a scoreboard show on Sunday to talk about Saturday's games, and we hope to do a recap show for the season sometime next week. If you want full previews of Saturday's games, please go back and listen to Kyle Nedenrip's previews from early Thursday morning. That is episode 102.4. And we start with Class 6A, where Brownsburg won its first state championship since it won the 3A state championship in 1984 and the 4A state title in 1985, with a 22-17 win over Westfield in Friday's final game at Lucas Oil Stadium. Brownsburg finished the season 12-1 and also beat Westfield 17-13 on September 28th to win a share of the Hoosier Crossroads Conference Championship. Brownsburg is the third different school John Hart has led to a state championship. He won it in 2007 at Evansville Reitz before moving to Warren Central and winning it in 2009. Brownsburg is 81-19 in his 9 years at the school. The Shamrocks came up just short of its first state championship since 2016 in Josh Miracle's first year as head coach. Westfield junior Deacon King recovered his own fumble on a controversial play to give Westfield a 7-0 lead with 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Then Owen Wright hit a 45-yard field goal to put the Shamrocks up 10-0 with 6:19 left until halftime. A minute and a half later, on 3rd and 19, junior running back Kavan Sumter Bay took an Oscar Fry pass 71 yards for a touchdown to get the Bulldogs within 10-7 at halftime. The game was tied at 10-10 heading into the final period after Will Orlando made a 25-yard field goal for Brownsburg. The field goal was set up by a 65-yard pass from Fry to Avon Robinson. Early in the fourth, Brownsburg took its first lead on a 20-yard touchdown pass from senior Joshua Stevens to sophomore Braden Sharp. Then the play of the game saw Brownsburg senior Jameer Pendleton block a punt, recover it, and return it 11 yards for a touchdown to put Brownsburg ahead 22-10 with 8:44 left in the fourth quarter. It took Westfield only a minute and a half to respond. 2 Carson Melvin completions to Bo Braun and another to senior Parker Knott set up King's second rushing touchdown to pull Westfield within 22-17 with 7:30 remaining. A long Brownsburg drive ended in a turnover on downs at the Westfield 16. The Rocks drove to the Brownsburg 32, but junior Drew Bostic intercepted Melvin with no time left to seal the win. Sumter Bay was the offensive star for Brownsburg with 76 yards rushing on 18 attempts and 77 yards and the TD pass from Fry. Bostic led the defense with 6 solo tackles and 3 passes defended to go along with his game-clinching interception. King led Westfield with 80 yards from scrimmage, and senior Gabriel Arambalis had 5 solo tackles, a quarterback sack, and 2 tackles for loss. New Palestine won its 4th state championship in the last 10 years and went unbeaten for the 3rd time with a 56-26 trouncing of East Noble. The Dragons outgained the Knights 516 yards to 262 and scored on 4 of 6 drives in the first half and 4 of 5 in the second half. East Noble took an early 7-0 lead on a junior Riley Biddle 80-yard touchdown pass to senior Logan Hatton, the longest pass play in 4A championship history. New Pal answered with 28 consecutive points on 3 touchdowns from Josh Raines and a Jacob Davis 52-yard touchdown pass to senior Austin McMahon. Raines, a junior, had 166 yards and 4 touchdowns. Junior Caden Jacobia had 163 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Davis, a junior, was 11 for 12 for 127 yards passing. By the way, almost the entire New Palestine team is juniors, including the entire offensive line, one of the best offensive lines Indiana's ever seen. The Dragons finished with 384 yards on the ground, and Raines went for over 2,000 yards on the season, the 7th New Palestine running back to accomplish that feat. Their 7 rushing touchdowns is a 4A state championship record. The Dragon defense held East Noble to 10 total first downs and 182 yards after Hatton's score. They also forced 2 fumbles and only gave up 6 yards rushing in the first half. In the Class 2A state championship, Adams Central led Linton Stockton from start to finish for the program's first state championship since 2000. The Jets led 19-0 at halftime after Linton Stockton scored its only touchdown early in the third quarter. The Jets scored the game's final 27 points for a 46-6 victory in the first state championship game Friday at Lucas Oil Stadium. Adams Central had been the state runners-up in Class A for the past 3 seasons. The Jets ran all over the Linton defense for 351 yards and 7 touchdowns. Sophomore quarterback Jamison Roach ran for 142 yards on 16 carries and scored 3 touchdowns. Senior Matt Heiser and senior Aaron Hershey combined for 152 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Jets' defense held the Miners to just over 3 yards per play and intercepted Linton quarterback Braylon McBride 4 times. McBride did have a touchdown pass to junior Paul Oliver for Linton's only score. Adams Central finished the season 14-1 and won its final 14 games. Quick preview of Saturday's game, since, like I said, we talked to Kyle Neddenrip about all 6 games on Wednesday. Go back and listen to that if you want full breakdowns of Saturday's state championship games. We start in Class A. The first game Saturday at 11 a.m. is the only state championship game featuring a pair of unbeaten teams. It also features a pair of programs that have been to state, but not in a long time. It's the 3rd trip to state for top-ranked North Judson. The Blue Jays were beaten 19-10 by Sheridan in 1984 and 29-21 by South Putnam in 1986 under Russ Radke. It's the 2nd appearance for Providence. The Pioneers reached state once before in 1993. Both of North Judson's previous semi-state championships were in Class A. Providence's was in 2A in 93. Both teams have been dominant throughout the season. The Jays outscoring opponents by an average of 54-7. Providence 33-12 against a very good schedule and has forced 29 turnovers this season. North Judson has beaten 5 postseason opponents 289-44. The Blue Jays and Pioneers have never played each other. The Sagarin prediction says North Judson will win by 13 points. At 3 p.m. in the Class 3A state championship, North Power Lures faces off against South Power Heritage Hills. It's the 12th trip to state for Lures in the past 17 years. The previous 12, in fact, their previous 17 trips to state have all been in Class 2A. The Knights have won 12 state championships, including last year's 2A state title. Heritage Hills is making its 5th trip to state, going all the way back to the Jay Cutler days. The Patriots were beaten 35-7 by Chittard in last year's state championship game. Their only state championship came in 2000. The Patriots are led by junior quarterback Jet Goldsberry, who's thrown for 1,736 yards and 27 touchdowns. They've won 12 straight games and are unbeaten against teams from Indiana this season. Their only loss came against Christian Academy of Louisville in Week 2. They've outscored their postseason opponents 199 to 63, and that includes a 38-24 win over number 1 Evansville Memorial in the sectional championship, a 50-7 win over North Harrison in the regional, and a 42-0 win last week over Batesville in the semi-state. Luers won easily in its first 2 rounds of the sectional, then beat number 2 Mississinawa 34-28, number 8 Mechaniquah 31-28, and number 4 Garrett 28-14 in the last 3 weeks. The Patriots and Knights have never played. According to the Sagarin ratings, Heritage Hills is a 15-point favorite. And the final game of the football season is the Class 5A state championship between number 4 North Decatur, and number 9 Warsaw. 10-3 Warsaw is a finals newcomer. The Tigers had only won one sectional ever before this season, and that was in 2019. They had never won a regional before this year. But Warsaw has been the story of the postseason. After an easy win over Goshen to start their playoff run, Warsaw beat number 1 Concord 31-28, number 2 Lafayette Jeff 44-27, and number 3 Merrillville 31-14. That's right, number 1, number 2, and number 3 in back-to-back-to-back weeks in order. Of course, Decatur Central is number 4. The 10-2 Hawks are making their third trip to Lucas Oil Stadium in the last 6 years. They were beaten 28-14 by New Pal in 2019 and 33-6 by Fort Wayne Snyder last year. The final game kicks off at 7. Like the other 2 games on Saturday, neither program has either faced the other. Sagarin says Warsaw will go 1, 2, 3, and 4 in back-to-back-to-back-to-back weeks. The Tigers are favored by 4 points, according to the Sagarin formula. Thank you for listening. If you like the Central Indiana Sports Report, please go find it on whatever device you prefer and like, subscribe, or follow us so you don't miss a single segment. And please tell a friend. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. I love Susie.